Hey, welcome back to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. Now, as early as 1957, Chess Life rated Bobby at 2231, and he displays this very powerfully in this game. Bobby's playing white, Fauber, his opponent, is playing the black pieces. This is the new Western Open. Let's see Bobby uncork one dandy of a game. This was amazing how he did this. They're going to play the uh, King Indian defense. Gonna fianchetto. They both fianchetto. Definitely, they're both gonna castle. Let's get the king to safety. Let's tuck away the kings, and then we can proceed on with the good stuff. Fischer is going to go cautious in the center. His opponent matches the caution. And now, of course, cautious, I say advisedly, because now he's going to push that E pawn, as does his opponent. Kind of an interesting symmetrical opening. It doesn't last, however. Even though it looks like it's going to, it does not. Bobby pulls a real interesting idea out of the hat here. Now his opponent's going to bump his rook over to the file, and Bobby's going to immediately proceed with, let's get this game going here. And let's see how he does this. Now he's going to rearrange the knights. And you say, well, in the opening, yeah, I say that almost every game because we see it almost every game. One move per piece, if possible. But if there's nothing crashing through, then rearrange your pieces to have the maximum effect of the type of either offensive attack or a defensive protection that you can get. This is what we're seeing both of them do. Before he brings his knight back up, however, notice something interesting here. It would be a grave error for Bobby to not push the pawn first. So he does. He's going to push the pawn, and his opponent is going to push the pawn. And now Bobby proceeds to open up the F file. Notice this, and it's a partial file. But notice he opens the F file for his rook. This is kind of interesting. Loses his knight, but then he wins it right back, of course. And he saw that he would be able to win it right back. So the exchange is even. However, now Bobby comes zipping up here and gets rid of the H pawn. Very interesting move here. And his opponent comes down here and gets rid of the B pawn. So let's keep watching. Bobby, of course, is going to get his rook out of trouble, and his opponent's going to bump back to G7. Bobby proceeds to exchange the bishops. He says, that's what I wanted. Let's get rid of the bishop. Now, that powerful fianchettoed bishop is a good guardian of the king. We've seen this in other games before. Now it's no longer here. And Bobby proceeds to bring out the pieces toward the king side. Yes. His opponent's not going to remain behind in development. Development is a temporary thing. If you get behind, don't freak out, but keep bringing more pieces out to their best squares. Don't just put pieces out to put pieces out. You need to have a developed plan based on how the board works, right? Bobby's going to, instead of, now this is interesting because so many of us want to keep exchanging, right? But look what that does to his pawn structure. That's not a good pawn structure right there. A doubled pawn, isolated, there's one island that would create two islands. There's a third island, an isolated pawn on E, and then a fourth island. That's not good in an end game. So I know there's so much to keep track of in the chess game, right? Watch your pawns. The less pawn islands you have, the less targets you're giving your opponent. This is why Bobby chose to press the pawn instead of take that pawn. That pawn isn't doing any damage whatsoever. So ignore it. Keep the pawns together. These three are together. Now, granted, this one's a backward pawn at this point. That's not going to kill Bobby's game. These two are in a fabulous position. That's really important to keep track of. Keep track of your pawns as you can. And now he's going to bring up the knight. Now, the queen is going to come over to c3. See, I told you that pawn is not a danger. Yeah, now it's in danger, but it's not a danger. He's not going to worry about the pawn at this time. The pawn falls. It's not a crisis for him. Bishop will come to h3. Kind of an interesting little doodad there with the bishops on Bobby's king side. Don't know how effective it's going to be. Let's keep watching. He's going to ignore that, and he's going to come up here. Notice he creates pawn islands. 3 of them now. And these two are unconnected. That's not good for an endgame. Okay, that was a more important move than worrying about exchanging the bishop here, right? He goes ahead and exchanges the bishops, and the knight will exchange, not the king. And then queen is going to remove one of the central pawns. As part of the hazards of chess is, yes, you can get a really dang good setup, and then all of a sudden, kablam, something happens. But watch what Bobby's doing. Not bad. Not bad at all. And now the queen is going to try to get some leverage here. So look at the file that black possesses. That could be dangerous. But look at the central influence that white has. That could be powerful. Also, the file of the C file is owned by Bobby. So what's going to happen here is he wants to force an exchange of the queens, and Bobby says, yeah, let's drop the ladies. So they drop the ladies. Now Bobby is going to tickle the knight up here. The knight is going to come in and say check to the king. The king is going to come here to h2 and say it doesn't bother me. Now the knight is going to dance over to f2, kind of a nifty little move for the knight. Bobby is not going to worry about the knight. He's going to go to f4. Rook is going to come to d2. Again, tickling the pawns. He's got that one, of course, protected, but the central pawn, always keeping track of targets. It's a pass pawn besides, right? So you want to keep track. And where do rooks belong? Behind passed pawns. Whether they're your own or your opponent's, you want to be behind passed pawns. So his opponent is playing a good strategy here. He's keeping his eye on things, and he's still in a very powerful position in Bobby's side. Bobby is going to bring his king back. His king is doing nothing there. And it kind of looks like Bobby is scattered because Bobby's pieces are scattered. That's why it looks that way. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing what happens when you look at the board. But then so is his opponents. So they're kind of playing a scattered game, right? There's no reason not to bring your king into contact. The king is a piece of power. Use it. You're approaching the end game. Make sure your king is playable. So Bobby does that. He brings his king here, and of course his knight. Of course, the knight can move out of harm. That was not to threaten the knight that Bobby brought the king back in. Okay, just recognize that. And now, knight e6 check. Now that's a great move when you see that he can't take that knight. So king goes to h8. And now rook at f7 is going to take the pawn. And black here resigns. Quick, fast, succinct power game of Bobby Fischer. He is beginning to catch people's attention. He is now rated at 2231. He is becoming a force to be reckoned with. So this is a wonderful, quick little interesting chess game. Thanks for watching the Backyard Professor Chess videos. Be good, do well, have fun, work hard, make lots of friends, smile a lot, makes people wonder what you're up to, pay your taxes, be happy, and I will see you in the next Backyard Professor Chess video. Thanks for watching. I've got more games. They're coming up, and they really are simply magnificent. Now we're starting to get into